Today, we're getting into a book it's sparked countless conversations about money. Completely shifted perspectives for millions, actually. Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Now, our source material for this deep dive, it's a fantastic YouTube video script that quickly breaks down the core concepts. It kind of gives us a shortcut, to understanding this powerful financial mindset. So our mission here is basically to pull out the most impactful insights, those real aha moments that make this book so influential.
Right, and it's truly fascinating how this book has resonated globally because, as our source notes, it just flips the script on everything we were taught about money in school. Pretty much everything. It doesn't just offer tips. It presents a fundamentally different way of thinking about wealth, challenging conventional wisdom right from the get-go.
Yeah, and that challenge, it starts right with Kiyosaki's own story, this foundational story. He frames his whole journey through these two central father figures. So first there's his poor dad, that's his real father, a highly educated man, advanced degrees and all that, but despite all that education, always seemed to be, struggling with money. Then you have Rich Dad. Now, this was his best friend's father, this guy, high school dropout. But he built immense wealth. How? Through shrewd investing and entrepreneurship, you see this immediate stark contrast.
Exactly, and what's pivotal here, the core message from these two figures is this. It's not how much money you make. It's how much you keep, and crucially, how smartly you grow it. And that's more than just like a tip about saving, right? It's a radical reframe. Kiyosaki forces us to confront that income. Well, it's often a mirage if it's not coupled with an active strategy, a strategy for keeping it and growing it. It's about building a kind of financial fortress, not just chasing a bigger paycheck every month.
Okay, so let's unpack this then. The first key lesson Kiyosaki presents. He's pretty bold here. He claims schools teach us how to work for money, but not how to make money work for us.
Well, it's a provocative statement, isn't it? Does the video source offer any insight into why our traditional systems might miss this? Or is it more about, like, individual responsibility?
Yeah, it really does challenge the status quo. The source highlights that it's maybe less about systemic failure and more about what financial intelligence truly means, beyond just academic knowledge, Kiyosaki places immense importance on actively seeking this financial education through reading, continuous learning, and just fundamentally thinking differently about money. It's about being proactive in your financial understanding, not just passively soaking up info in a traditional curriculum. Right. Now, this next point. This is where it gets really interesting, I think, because it gets right down to the practical differences. Kiyosaki makes this crucial distinction between what he defines as an asset and a liability. Okay, so an asset, he states, is something that, puts money in your pocket. Simple as that. Think about real estate that generates rental income, or stocks maybe, paying dividends.
Right. Stuff that generates cash flow for your income streams.
Exactly. And then on the flip side, a liability is anything that takes money out of your pocket. He contrasts assets with things like, say, a fancy car that just depreciates and costs you money in upkeep.
Or credit card debt.
Or credit card debt, that just drains your resources. But okay, here's a really common point of confusion. Many people think their home, their primary residence, is their biggest asset. Does Kiyosaki's perspective, as detailed in the video, offer any specific cautions about viewing your home just as an asset?
That's a great question. And it's where people often get kind of tripped up. The book's perspective is quite direct, almost jarring, really. To think that a brand new car or even your own home might actually be a liability in his terms.
If it's not generating income.
Exactly. If it's not generating income and just has ongoing costs, repairs, mortgage interest, taxes. Kiyosaki forces you to just ask that simple question. Does it put money in my pocket or take it out? That's his test. The core insight is that the wealthy, according to him, they focus on acquiring things that generate income, things that build their financial position over time, rather than just, flashy consumer items that ultimately drain resources. It's about sustained wealth building, creating those income streams, and really understanding that not all possessions are financially beneficial. Your home, okay, traditional accounting might call it an asset, sure, but Kiyosaki challenges you. Does it truly generate income for you? That's his laser focus.
Okay, so from what you own, we pivot now to what you do. Makes sense. This idea of assets, it naturally leads to Kiyosaki's next challenging thought about how we approach our careers, our jobs. He argues that most people work jobs for years, decades even, without truly building wealth. The rich dad perspective encourages earning money, yes, of course, but also strategically learning new skills, skills that aren't necessarily directly tied to your current paycheck.
Yeah, this truly redefines the idea of what a job is for. It's about seeing your career not just as a source of income, but as a kind of classroom, a place to build a different kind of capital, human capital, in the form of crucial skills. The book emphasizes acquiring abilities like investing, sales, marketing, negotiation, entrepreneurship, stuff like that. The argument is by mastering these skills, you're actually building a pathway to break free from the rat race, as he famously puts it, moving beyond just being stuck on that employee path towards true financial independence and leverage.
And finally, and the last key lesson we pulled out. This one really challenges a deeply ingrained fear, doesn't it? The fear of losing money. Kiyosaki views this fear as a significant barrier to wealth, suggesting it holds so many people back from even getting started on their financial journey.
Absolutely. And a key takeaway emerges here. Wealth, according to the book, it comes from taking, well, calculated risks. It's not about being reckless or gambling, right? It's about calculated risks. And crucially, learning valuable lessons from mistakes made along the way. That's huge. This is a profound mindset shift. It involves stepping outside of your comfort zone and embracing perceived challenges or, setbacks, not as failures, but as genuine opportunities. Opportunities for growth and ultimately profit. It transforms the whole idea of failure from being an endpoint into just a stepping stone, part of the process.
So wrapping all this up, what does it mean for you listening? Rich Dad, Poor Dad is clearly presented as more than just a money book. It's really framed as a fundamental mindset shift. It outlines this path to financial freedom, starting with knowledge, then actively accumulating assets that work for you, and making smart, strategic decisions about your money, your time, your skills.
Exactly. Ultimately, the message seems pretty clear. Your approach to financial freedom, it begins with a change in perspective. It starts now with how you think. So as you step back from this deep dive, maybe consider which of these core lessons really resonates most with you right now. Perhaps challenge yourself, Identify one small, deliberate step you could take today, maybe just one thing, to start thinking a little bit differently, thinking like the rich dad, and start figuring out how to put your money, and maybe even your skills,